Barstool's such an interesting place. Dave kicked me off the show. I was not crying, okay? When those kids with their smart, like, oh, we spend this much on football. Like, why aren't we spending it on, like, rowing? It's like,
it funds everything.
Yeah, hey, you fucking idiot. Like, I go platinum with no features every month.
Talk your shit, Jack. Let's go.
Yeah.
The one who broke that news, I was like, dude, that's insane. And she's hot, too, which makes it, like, even wilder. You're literally just playing chess. But like,
I have no interest in fixing her, but you have to lie a little bit. That's a little secret. You've ever met a Boston College fan? No, they're irrelevant. They've mentioned the Seminole with the Saudi flag with the sword on it. That'd be sick as fuck.
It would be kind of hype.
Yeah, so what is that podcast called? It's called like Momentum.
I've been following you for a minute. You're like probably one of my favorite accounts I follow on Instagram and TikTok as well. I got all my pop culture, sports news.
That's good. Like, I mean, it's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
Yeah. You're like the new news, bro.
It's funny.
Do you get that often?
I do. It's funny. I still remember the first time I saw your guys' podcast. It looked just like Busting with the Boys. And I'm sure you've been told that a billion times. But I forget what story it was. It was probably one of your first podcasts. It was somebody telling a story of, maybe it was like whoever it was. It was
like a teammate on there?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it?
It was a good story.
Was it the Keaton BYU one?
I think so. Yes, yeah.
Where he was talking shit about BYU and then he went to,
yeah. I think that was the one. Very good.
It was funny.
So, and then...
Did the Barstool guys say anything about that? Because they've been kind of chirping a little bit.
I think somebody sent it like in one of our group chats. It was like, this looks exactly like it. And I was just like, but here's the thing. Like the podcast space is so wide and so big. It's like, yeah, there's going to be things, there's crossover. There's not like copying. And I'm typically of the thought process that it's just, it is what it is. It's whatever.
Well, I mean, it totally is copying. That was the point of it.
Okay, perfect.
Like there's like the whole thing looks exactly like Bustin' with the Boys.
Yeah. I mean, Bustin's great.
If I'm them, like I wouldn't see it as like competition or anything like bad. Like I would honestly be happy that like guys are trying to emulate us. I don't know. That's the way I would look at it.
Especially like a guy who plays ball like you.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not like you're just some random schmo. I mean, you're a guy. Obviously, to them, they're massive.
Right.
It's like, I mean, and
I got to know them back when they were first starting Bussin'.
Okay, cool.
In Nashville, because they'd always work out at facilities. When I was at Vanderbilt. So like summer training, they would just like Taylor and them would run in with us.
Okay, cool.
And then that's like kind of around that same time they started their podcast, and then that was the first time I've seen like a current active athlete do something in the media in that way. So that's what gave me the idea, like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole game's changing. I would say even particularly like, I mean, it's hard to tell somebody if they really want to start a podcast, don't do it.
Yeah.
But if somebody's starting a podcast, like the podcast industry is so, I would say just like overinflated that it's a very successful industry. But like random people starting, it's going to be very tough to break in. But somebody like, unless you're an athlete, entertainer, you really have to have a story to tell. I rather tell people like focus in on like video, short form, and then do YouTube videos. I mean,
but the podcasts are also short form. That's the thing.
I know it is. That is kind of a mind thing I have to realize, which is when you do an hour and a half podcast, you can get like 20
like
short
5
form.
to 10 great clips right there. Yeah,
exactly.
That's
so I mean, it's a
look
very interesting like.
Yeah.
I'll never tell somebody not to do something. Honestly, I would tell somebody like if they want to do something, like just start. It doesn't even really matter.
Yeah.
Like just do it. Like even if it's kind of shitty, it's like your first year of podcasting or making videos are probably not going to be great anyways. You don't need the highest tech, but if you want to do it that way, do it that way. But people will plan, and then they'll get all the equipment, and then they won't do it.
Or they'll do like 5 episodes and not get a lot of views and be like, all right, it's not for me.
Well, yeah,
like
I mean, it's
like look at Rogan's like first 1,000.
Yeah,
or like
exactly.
First few hundred or something, No, it's a numbers game.
No, it 100% is. And you just have to, I mean, even for me, like I was on the Barstool College Football Show for 1 week in 2019. Like I was told I was going to be on it for the whole year. Dave kicked me off the show.
Why?
He said I was like the most boring guy he's ever seen on camera. It was like devastating for me in 2019.
Wait, so this was supposed to be you, Dave, who else?
So it's still like it's on the internet. Like you can find it. Week 1, 2019 season.
Yeah.
Were you at Vandy then?
19, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it was before. Like I forget the marquee games. Like Notre Dame was playing Louisville, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It was the first weekend. I got told a few weeks before, it's like, no, you're on the show this year. And I just graduated college in May of 2019. I was like, oh my God, like
that's sick.
It's happening. It's like, oh wow. And it was Big Cat, Brandon, Dave, Casey. Casey was the host. And then I had my own desk on the side. And then I was supposed to give stats or whatever. And I didn't perform to the best, but it was the first time I ever did. And I was like, okay, I got that out of the way. I'll be better next week. And then I got told like 2 days before I went to Clemson, or we went to Clemson, the show did. Clemson was playing Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Trevor, this was the year after Trevor won the national championship. So they were like number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, I think Kellen Mond was there. So they were looking pretty good too.
Yeah.
And I was eating, I remember specifically, I was eating a Chipotle bowl I had a whole planned out thing. You remember when Clemson kind of got busted for using Osterin?
Yeah, was this like Dexter Lawrence and all
Yeah,
the D-line?
yeah, it was- yeah.
Bro, like the entire D-line was on
Osterin, yeah. So I had like a shirt made. It was gonna say Clem Osterin. I was gonna go and be like the heel. Like I had this perfect plan.
Yeah.
And I was eating Chipotle in the Barstool office in the kitchen. It was lunch. And then this woman, I'm not gonna say her name because I despise her. I don't want I just despise her. She doesn't work at Barstool anymore.
Okay.
She was like, so you're off the show. Came up to me, didn't even like
Just like that.
She didn't even bring me into a room. I was like, yeah, so you're off the show. Like, it's not gonna work out. And I was like, wait, what? And I'm like, I had a face full of food. I was eating like Chipotle bowl.
With the shirt on.
Yeah. And I was just like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah, Dave didn't like you, so we're going a different direction. And I was just like, oh, I was like, wait, actually? And then she was like, yeah, well, at least you don't have to go to Clemson this weekend. And I looked at her and I was like, I was like, I don't get
Yeah, like what's
like
that supposed
I'm
to mean?
22 years old.
Right.
They fly on a private jet to Clemson. And then I got to be
sick,
yeah,
dude.
and then she goes like, "Oh, at least you don't have to go to Clemson." Then I go into Dave's office. I was like, "So that's really it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just don't think you have it." But the moral of the story is, so at that point I was like, "Fuck." Like I didn't think it was over because he did tell me, it's like, "I love all the other things you do at Barstool." So it's not like we look at you differently. It's just like, this isn't going to work. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I mean, he's like, he was the head.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't perform, you get benched. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So I wasn't mad. I was more just like, man, I wish I had another opportunity. But like, that's just like, I didn't show up the way I needed to. And then, but in 2019, and he told me he's like never seen somebody more boring on camera. And then, I mean, you got to think about
just like
this.
that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he went on radio later that day. You can find all the quotes. And he said,
just talking shit?
not talking shit. He was like, Jack Mack came crying in my office. I was not crying, okay? I went into his office and was like, yo, so like, what happened?
Yeah.
And he was just, that's what he said. He's like, I think you're incredibly boring on camera. I was like, can I have another opportunity? He's like, it's just not going to work. And I was like, all right, whatever. But that could have like stopped me from making videos. That could have stopped me, but I continue. And then like, I mean, Dave may still think that. I don't know. I haven't talked to him, but like, I haven't. But like, now I mean, I have 610,000 followers on TikTok. That's a video, like strictly video content. Like, so
talk your shit, Jack.
But,
Let's go.
Yeah, but
Well,
and I mean, if you saw the numbers in the company, I mean, like I go platinum with no features every month, right?
Yeah.
But at that time in 2019, I wasn't good enough. Like I wasn't prepared. I thought I was, but I wasn't. And then I almost feel like I was like a quarterback that was like started and then it was like he wasn't ready. But he like, you know, like look at Geno Smith. Like he was like, he wasn't even that bad on the Jets, but he just wasn't.
He wasn't a franchise guy at the time.
And then but he kept going.
Yeah.
And if I was just like, man, I'm boring on camera, Dave's right. It's like, you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, which is
you
cool.
needed it at that time, basically.
I think so. And I think he brought up a good point. And like, I will never, the only person I'm mad at is how that woman said it to me. It's like, she didn't even.
Just don't be disrespectful about it.
Just bring me into a room. Like, obviously that's going to be heartbreaking news to me. Like, it's like, like, it's not. And also she was relatively new. It is what it is. But that happened 4 years ago, right? I still have to watch that show every fucking weekend and see like, oh, they go travel across the country.
Yeah,
and
dude,
like,
that's a sick gig.
it's
bro.
a sick, and I could have had that gig.
Yeah.
But
You still can. It's not
yeah,
like,
you never know.
yeah.
But like, it does suck thinking, oh, I don't have that gig. But like, I could have been like, that's going to stop me from making videos. That's going to stop me from doing things. That's going to stop me from taking chances. And then, yeah, but I mean, Dave's mean to everybody. So it's like, that's not like, everyone has a story like that.
Yeah. Or is it mean or just no filter? Like he just says whatever
I mean, it's who he is. It's like,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
reason
he's so popular too.
and it's like, that's how he built the company. Like that I
Yeah.
work at and get paid by. So it's like,
Yeah.
like that's the like life you signed up for. If you don't like it, like I could leave. It's not like he's forcing me to work for him.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier, the big news where he bought back the company for $1. Like, how do you think that changes like what you do or the structure of the company or whatever from someone who doesn't like really follow super closely what Barstool is doing?
Well, a lot of people I would say didn't even know that was Dave didn't own a lot or a big percent
That's
of the
true, yeah.
company. You know?
'Cause he's the face of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were asking me on like my friends or family or whatnot. They're just like, wait, he didn't own it. But how does it change it? I mean, he owns 100% of the company again. Like it's his
But does
money.
that mean he's going to change how things are run?
Possibly. I think he said in an interview, it was the day that the news came out, it's like he wants it to go back from meetings to more so making like great content, which Barstool never stopped that, but some people did. I mean, Penn was great. I loved Penn. It's really like, I mean, think about it. Barstool had its own sports book. It still will for the next 6 months, but like Barstool
Yeah.
Sportsbook, like they had Barstool's name was attached to a sports book and a pretty successful one. It was just when there's a lot going on, you have to be like very careful and whatnot, gambling regulators and whatnot. And we did a good job at that, but that will change the content a little bit. Now, as like Dave said, like it's like Barstool's back, quote unquote, which I hope is the case. I can't really speak on what's going to change. For me, it's like I'm just doing that. Like nothing's changed for me day to day. Like I'm
Yeah.
still doing the same stuff. Maybe Dave's more involved, so it's like if I mess up, I'm gonna get yelled at more. But like that's just I'd rather have that because Dave being involved, I think is the morale of the company is so high. That's the only thing I will like 100% say. The morale is very high. Not that it wasn't, but Dave coming back because people missed Dave. Because
But wasn't he around always?
well, not really. No,
Really? Huh.
I mean, he was in Miami a lot, and he
that's
was
true.
and then he wasn't in the office as much. He was still very involved in the company, but he's back to owning. Like now, it's like he went from
hands-on. Yeah.
being a huge shareholder of Penn to no, he owns 100% of Barstool Sports now.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So, and I think he's excited too. I don't want to speak for him, but it seems like he's excited.
Yeah, no, I see it all over Instagram. Dude, I'm amazed rather by the speed with which, like, I want to know how you're getting these stories so quickly. The ones where like you're putting your face on the story.
No.
It's
Well,
like,
this is like, I'm just looking at my phone right now. Like we have so many group chats within Barstool and I work
Yeah.
on the social team as well. And we have so many guys that are like legitimate killers. And when it comes to just being on the internet and seeing
Yeah.
everything,
so your boys will just pitch you a story and be like, yo,
like this will be good. Yeah.
yeah.
Or
Like
though-
there was a few that like I literally learned just from you. Like if I didn't follow you, I wouldn't have no idea that even happened.
It
was like,
so that's
I
what
can name
go
a few. It was
for.
like the Alex Earl one.
Okay,
You're the one
yeah.
who broke that news. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, that's insane. And I love how you go into like the whole journalistic, like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
like now I'm going to dig deeper. And
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, how is this possible?
No, that story is
I
crazy.
wrote down a few, but like, yeah, you could touch on that.
No, the
Oh, the Drake and Bobby one.
The Drake and Bobby one. So that was one like I got sent on Sunday night at like 11:30 p.m. And somebody sent it. I think there's a guy at work named Meek Phil. We found him on Twitter. We have Barstool's such an interesting place, even from like Dave to just even like Brianna Chicken Fry and whatnot. But we also have like people who a lot of people don't know. This kid was pretty much a Twitter troll. He was just in the replies and he slowly built an account, not that big, but big enough to get noticed by me and some other people. And we suggested for him to get a job, but he's essentially a guy who's on his phone 14 to 15 hours a day. He sees everything.
Yeah.
So he sees that, sends it to me. And Twitter, I will say, is not where everyone is, but it's where like that's where news breaks. People are tweeting about it and it gets big right away. TikTok, like I could even on Twitter,
It's immediate.
the Alex Earl news when I posted that video was like a little bit late. It was like people are already talking about it for 4 hours. But TikTok, there's a lot more normal people on the app, if that makes sense. That are they're doing their day-to-day life. They have goals. Maybe it's professional. Maybe it's like, but Twitter's
just weird.
like gremlins. But we need we need those guys. And Meek Phil's he's like
this guy works for Barstool.
Yeah, he's a weapon. This kid's a weapon.
He's like
he lives at home. And he goes home and he has like a 4-monitor setup, and it's like he's on Discord, Twitter, and then watches. He's a huge baseball fan, and he watches everything.
Dude, his screen time's just insane, bro.
Oh yeah. When Dave bought the company, our back, I sent him a text and I was just like, just so you know, like you've been doing great, but we're just gonna have to, like Dave's back. We have to be a little bit more like even careful, quote unquote. Just like let's make sure we like step up to the plate. And it's like, all right, I'll increase my screen time hours from 13 to 15 hours. Like, it's like his numbers are crazy.
This dude's a nut, bro. That's wild.
And if you saw him, like, you would like he looks like here, I'll get a photo of him. I got to get a.
Yeah, I want to see how this guy looks.
Yes, yeah, exactly. He looks
this is the behind the scenes that like you wouldn't even know is going on.
He's actually running right now for the. He's running for, if you look up, I wonder if he'll pop up on Google. This is hilarious to me. Look up Meek Phil, Barstool.
Or he's probably got like an IG or something, right?
No, he keeps his IG private. He's he's like the horniest bastard ever. Yeah, that's him. Like,
oh my God. I think I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, like he pops up every now and then. He's actually running for Barstool president right now.
Dude, what?
If you want smoke, just like he's like truly, but he's somebody we found on the internet. He didn't have a profile picture. We didn't know what he looked like. He came in,
picked them up.
But he's like, he's
amazing,
a soldier.
dude.
He's like, if you're thinking about the mafia, like you need those soldiers.
Right. Yeah, he's your eyes and ears on the street.
He knows everything.
Yeah, it's like, have you seen John Wick? Like how they
haven't, but I know the storyline a little bit.
Yeah, where I mean, they just have like all these people on the street. Yeah, and like this dude just knows everything.
This guy, like, if we lost him, I don't think I can't imagine a scenario he would get fired. But like, let's say like something brutal happened to him or he quit. It would hurt us. Like whatever he's paid is not enough. It's like he's like.
What percentage of your videos, like the sources, are him?
A lot. Like this guy sees everything. Like he'll like send me a text and just be like,
did he come up with the sorority girl that gets arrested like every week? The Queen of Chaos?
I saw that on one of our other old row Twitter accounts.
That one was awesome, dude.
That one was sick.
Yeah.
That one was
hot too, which makes it like even wilder. I'm like, and I think the caption was like, I could fix her or something.
Yeah. I can fix her. I have no interest in fixing her, but you have to lie a little bit. That's a little secret.
Yeah.
But it's funny, Meek Phil, I could talk about him all day, but that's like kind of weird. I wish I didn't say that. But the Nets Twitter account, like Brooklyn Nets, tagged him instead of Meek Mill recently. Like on Twitter. I mean, the guy has like 18,000 followers on Twitter, but he's like, dude, the amount of tweets he's had, I think, I'll look it up right now. I think he's had.
Let's look him up.
I think he's had, here.
Dude, you need those
How many tweets? Oh, it doesn't tell you anymore. But anyways, he's running for
Barstool president. What does that mean? What is that?
Right now in the New York City office, we have Barstool New York presidential race.
Yeah.
This is it right here. And these are the standings.
That's who's running? Oh, that's the standings?
That's who's running. That was after day one, which was recently.
So you're 10th.
But I'm 10th just based on write-in votes. I'm not running. Like I said I wasn't running and people still, I wish maybe I should have, but who knows. But Meek Phil's third and he's.
So he's just loved, like everyone likes this guy.
Well, the behind the scenes people do, it's kind of a bit, but yeah.
And what do you get as being president? Is it like ceremony or like you actually get to do stuff?
I think it's just like a YouTube video, to be honest.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit of a, just like
yeah.
see, I I would be shocked if like in 3 months there's any real power or anything. But
Yeah,
it's
I've
like
never heard of it before.
it's like almost like a school like president. Like
Right. Interesting.
okay, so this was written by my guy Kareem, I think, and then anybody besides KFC. Well, the funny thing about him saying anyone besides KFC, is he's actually like runs the New York City office now, so he's actually the president.
Right.
But KFC's cool. He's from he went to Fordham. I went to Fordham, which is in the Bronx.
Yeah.
They've I don't know if they've had a few NFL players. I think I'm first on this list.
A few NFL guys. What,
Yeah.
on his show or what? Oh yeah, you are first on there.
No, at Fordham.
Oh, from Fordham. Yeah. There was a quarterback recently.
Yeah,
I don't know when you graduated, but
So John Skelton like a while ago. He was like on the Cardinals, and then, what was his name? There was a guy this year who.
who's
I
your
think-
team? You're from New York?
Yeah, so Jets. But I grew up in Connecticut.
College, I'm saying.
So I grew up in Connecticut, and I fell in love. This is very funny. I'm probably the only person who fell in love with college football by going to UConn football games. But like, I remember I went to the first ever UConn football game in their stadium that's still there today, Rensselaer Field. They played Indiana. There we go.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, and they played Indiana. They won in 2003, 2004. Dan Orlovsky was the quarterback.
Okay.
Terry Colley was the running back. They and I was what? Fuck. 2000, I think it was 3, so I was 6 years old. I remember it. And then we went to every game from that point on. And I was like a huge UConn football fan. Obviously basketball too. Everybody is. That's just like a birthright if you're in Connecticut. But with football, I did fall in love with college football through UConn
football.
and Big East football. And then I went through to everything else and understanding everything else. And to this day, I'm still UConn football all the way.
Fine.
But I mean, like,
Jim Moore's got that thing.
I know they
turning
really
around.
turned it around.
Yeah.
Well, UConn football is the face of like
The Northeast.
we see the conference realignment right now, and there's a lot of people are talking about like, oh, Washington State, Oregon State, what's going to happen to them? It's like, hey guys, like we got left, like UConn got left at the altar back in 2012, 2011, and really the fact they found a way out of it is like almost a miracle. UConn football, like the athletics program was dead. Like 2016, 2017, they weren't making NCAA tournaments. The women's team was phenomenal.
Yeah.
They were always going to be good. But the NCAA basketball was dead. Kevin Ollie won a national championship and then was an awful coach. Football fell apart. They made 3 awful hires, which were Paul Pasqualoni, who like I don't know.
Syracuse guy.
Yeah, like he was just, I don't even know how he still has a job. He was such a bad hire. Bob Diaco was a psychopath, but I will say Bob Diaco, shout out Bob Diaco for one reason and one reason only. He said back in like 2016, we have to put games on Nickelodeon for the next generation to get them. And look at it now.
That's
the
what they're
Super
doing
Bowl
now.
is
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Nickelodeon. So I will say,
Wow.
Bob Diaco,
Yeah.
shout out him, but he was not a good football coach. And then they rehired Randy Edsel, who was the guy that took them to the they made a BCS bowl, like they were always a bowl team. They sold out every game, like every year,
Really?
from 2005 to 2010. Then Randy Edsel went to Maryland, that failed. He came back, that failed. But Jim Moore has turned it around in like and I think they're also going independent was a very good move for them because I mean, yeah, you have to go play Michigan, but like you get paid like $1.5 million for that game. And also, I mean, like last year they had like bye games that they won, like they beat Fresno State, they beat Boston College, like they made a bowl game last year, which is phenomenal. And this year I'm very excited for. They'll never be top of the top, but
You want to be competitive. It's a hard job.
Very
especially
hard.
Yeah, in the Northeast like that. If you're not in a big conference. My boy Rob, he's with the Bears right now. He played running back at UConn last year.
oh, you're Robert Burns.
Yeah.
No, he was like my favorite player ever.
Really?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
my best friend.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
He talk
I
about
played high school with him.
Talk about an absolute fucking like bowling ball. He was like,
Dude, he's a monster.
Robert Burns is like one of my favorite players, like in like UConn football history. Like I'll always remember Robert Burns.
That's awesome, bro.
I was pumped when he got he's with the Bears now.
Yeah,
Hopefully it'll work out.
They just played Tennessee last week. He got a lot of reps in the second half, but he was telling me about like the transition from Edsel to Mora.
Okay.
And it's kind of similar to what I was telling you with Link when he came in at SC. Just cut a bunch of people, like cut like 3/4 of the team. Even dudes that were like actually starters. But just a lot of it was like character issue guys, or like
I heard a
you'd
lot
rather
of
not.
rumors.
Yeah,
I
But
don't want
that's
to
a new
say
thing,
them,
though,
but
like-
like it's like, there was a lot of I think Randy Edsel, when he came back, really took it. It was almost just like oh, I'll do this again.
yeah.
When you really have to. And I mean, credit to Jim Moore. I mean, he's like even if he never coached again, he had a phenomenal career. But he came in to Connecticut,
Dude, that's a really hard job.
really hard. And I mean, I'll
You have
always
to
defend
kinda-
Northeast football, but it's like
No,
it's tough because like.
keeping like the few guys that
Exactly,
do
it's
come out
only
of
a few.
Connecticut. Yeah,
And then you have to compete against Boston College, which is a much better school,
Yeah.
and
even Syracuse.
ACC, Syracuse. You have to compete against.
Yeah,
Penn State's right there,
yeah.
but they've done a really good job keeping the Etzel era did not keep the Connecticut guys in Connecticut. This past year, they've kept the Connecticut guys. Past 2 years, Connecticut guys in Connecticut, which is huge.
Yeah.
They have a running back right now, Victor Rosa. He was a star in Connecticut high school football, which is like. You can make fun of it, but keeping him in Connecticut was huge because then if he does well at UConn, then the other guys are like, oh, you remember Victor Rosa when you were a freshman? Like,
Yeah.
and like it's easier to recruit.
There's actually decent Qs that come out of Connecticut too.
Yes.
Like Will came out of there. There's a few other guys too.
Tyler Van Dyke down in Miami.
Yeah.
He's from Connecticut.
Yeah. Not that they would necessarily stay, but
That's tough. There's a top 4 or 5 quarterback in this class who is in Connecticut.
really.
He's at Avon Old Farms. There's another quarterback I'm blanking on that I'm sure somebody will bring up that is I'm embarrassed of myself but Tyler Van Dyke, Will. I think those are the only 2 right now, but they were
Recently. Yeah.
recently. I mean, there's been some decent quarterbacks, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Jordan Reed was from Connecticut.
Wasn't Aaron Hernandez too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his brother DJ was a quarterback at UConn.
Oh, okay.
He just got
Interesting.
arrested.
Really?
Oh yeah.
For what?
He was going to shoot up like UConn.
The university?
Yeah.
For what? It was just.
I mean,
Was he
I think
cracked
he's
out or
psych-
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a sad story, like the whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something like in both those guys' brains. I mean, one's dead, but like,
yeah, it's just something genetically.
and recently he threw a brick through ESPN's like window.
I saw that. Yeah.
And he had like a note on it. So I think
Something
he's on the
about his
list.
brother, right?
Yeah, he was like, stop
Yeah.
telling lies.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
And that Florida documentary, which will be sick. So that's actually
Dude, that's gonna be insane.
the first video that ever like really went off for me.
Which one?
Florida. So I made a video back in 2018 about Florida's 2018,
Yeah.
and
Where
no.
you were just talking about how crazy the
yeah,
roster
and
was.
I was
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
but so it's so crazy. People are like, "How long have you been making green screen videos?" It's like, it's not the proper question to ask because I was doing videos where I recorded my like computer screen as if it was a green screen. I've been doing that for a while.
And you're just talking over it.
Yes, but
And your face
that
isn't
was like
there.
there was no green screen effect.
Yeah.
But that was like 2018. I remember I made a video that did really well about. You remember that Clemson Ohio State college football playoff game, where there was the fumble that wasn't a fumble. They returned it. Jeffrey Okuda returned it for
Roughly.
and then I think there was also one where a player got kicked out, or Ohio State player got kicked out for targeting, and Ohio State fans were like bitching about it. I made a video yelling at them, kind of just like stirring it up. That did well. Then I did a video on Tate Martell in 2018, and it would be like essentially like if I was just recording like this, I was recording you, but I was recording and then talking. So I didn't do that a lot, but I did do that a little bit. So I've been doing videos like that for a while, and that's why sometimes people be like, "Oh, how can I do it? How can I do it?" And it's not that I'm insulted, but it's more so like you have to do it a bunch. I mean, it's like you have to.
Yeah, it took
like,
you a long time.
Yeah, it's like you have to find a way. Like it's also hard to talk on camera, just like it's hard to
It
interview
takes
people.
reps. Yeah, it feels awkward at first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even still to this day, like I'll watch back videos of mine and be like, I should have said this, I should have said that. But you can drive yourself crazy doing that
Yeah, that's tough.
because it's like also with videos like that, you can redo them or not even redo them. Like you can do so many that it's not like a little mistake's not going to like make or break you. Cause like
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of videos to be made in the next even week. Like there's no point
Yeah.
in getting bogged down. I mean, it's like throwing an interception. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn from it, but you can also probably psych yourself out.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of the Florida thing, I don't know how in depth they're gonna go into like what was really going on, but I had do you remember the running back Emmanuel Moody? So he was like I think the backup. He got a decent amount of reps, but he transferred from SC. Where he was there with Reggie, and then I think he won a national championship with both teams, which is kind of nuts.
Okay, that makes sense.
So he goes to Florida, and then had him on the show, and he was kind of talking about. This is one of the clips that like has done really well because he was kind of talking shit about Tim Tebow. Because like
maybe that's another clip that I saw.
Yeah,
I think yeah.
Because everyone regards Tim, and I mean I do. Like that was my idol growing up, playing
100%.
quarterback, and in the state of Florida, I was like
100%.
I wanted to be Tim Tebow. I had his fat head on my Dillard's in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, yeah. I think
But I grew up a big Gator fan because my dad went to Florida.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, Tim was like my idol, and so this guy's saying basically on the show that like the guys on the team didn't like him at all. Like he was just a snitch.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, and so that was one of the clips where.
But like, how would you even be a snitch on a team like that was just littered with like? I can only imagine, and I'm not saying it from a disrespectful standpoint too, because I think a lot of programs were like that. Florida was special, but like, you can only imagine what was going on at like USC back in like the early 2000s.
Oh, and dude, I've heard crazy stories.
Like because I've even heard stories about like I think the last run for a lot of these like the best time to have been a top tier college football player was probably like 2000 to 2012. Like once Snapchat came along and once like camera phones came along, it was over.
Oh, you're going okay.
Just from
as
the perspective,
far as being exposed, like doing stuff, like
yeah, like
out.
even like I'm not saying bad stuff. I'm saying like I know at Alabama like most of the grad assistants jobs are like no, you should like go make like you have to make sure like our players are not out, and if they're out, tell us.
Yeah.
Now like. Nowadays, like they don't even have to do that. Like it's just, it will be out there. It's like, oh, here's this player, here's that player. And I mean, you've been around a lot of athletes. Some athletes, like that's how they like relax. Or like, I'm not saying you should go out the night before a game, but like some dudes are different. Like they can like go all night, wake up, and like
Johnny.
Yeah, like I mean, like they're gonna burn out at some point.
Yeah.
But like there's some dudes that are just different like that. Like I see it a lot. I see it a lot right now with McGregor, and people are like, "Oh, he's still drinking." It's like he's not preparing for a fight. Like I don't like athletes don't like a lot of. If you want to be LeBron James, you do have to do like all that extra shit. But like a lot of dudes, like what do you think they're doing? Like they're like type A personalities. Like they're not. They don't just like sit around.
Yeah.
Like they're not like introverts. Like some of them are, but like.
Yeah, I mean, there's a wide like. There's your dudes who like just play video games and like not trying to go out or nothing. Like, there's a ton of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've played with dudes in college who like have a huge game or like Amon, right? Like, he lived in our apartment and he like one game he had like 4 touchdowns in one quarter. I don't know if you remember that game. It was against Washington State.
Yeah.
Like, yo, like,
oh, that game was sick.
What are we about to do? Yeah, 4 tuds in the first quarter.
Wait, was that Jackson? Jackson was playing?
No, it was Keaton.
It was Keaton. Okay. Jackson played against Washington State, what, the next year?
The next, yeah.
Okay, I remember that game.
No, Jackson wasn't there yet. So we're like, I'm like, yo, like, we're going out. Like, what are we about to do? Like, I mean, you probably just made a ton of money if you're coming out this year.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, nah, I'm probably just going to hop on the game and just chill. It's like, I mean, there's dudes who are like, I'm not saying Amon doesn't go out, but
no, I get
just in general, like, that's
a good story. That shows like probably who he is. Like, I'm sure, I mean, everyone goes out and parties sometimes, but if you're the type of dude after doing that, and you just want to chill.
Video games are the big one. Yeah.
Okay, video games.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then there's a guy like Johnny who, dude, it was funny. Like when I signed my undrafted deal, like we went out in Miami.
Yeah.
And then we saw Johnny at the club we were at.
Okay.
So it was just like, it was kind of full circle with the whole like draft day song.
Yeah,
and, like
I
grew up watching Johnny too. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like dapped him up, like told him like what happened or like we're celebrating. It was an awesome night, obviously.
Yeah.
And then like we like exchanged information.
Okay, cool.
And then I'm looking at his like Instagram stories the next like 3, 4, 5 days. Every single night that week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like going out like at the club, different city every day too. It was like, I don't know how he lives that lifestyle. And it was the same lifestyle he did while he was playing too, which is insane.
Playing is insane and doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it maybe like 1 or 2 weeks in the off season, but playing like.
And not watching tape, dude. That was like, I didn't watch the whole doc. I saw that one clip where he just watches 0 film.
Yeah.
And like, bro, I mean, I can tell you firsthand, like that playbook is something else. Like, I don't know how you physically step on the field without, like, I just don't know how it's physically possible. I think it's the most impressive thing that he's ever done. Like, forget the Heisman Trophy, forget beating Bama on game day. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how he was any semblance of decent without ever watching tape.
No, I don't.
I literally can't wrap my head around it. Like for me, I went to bed at like 2, 3 in the morning. All I did was like review things.
Yeah.
Got like 2, 3 hours of sleep. Next day, install. Boom. Next day, you get like another packet this big. And I mean, like, I think I'm a decently smart guy. And I put literally all my energy into one thing, and it was still really hard, still making mistakes. So either like he's just some crazy savant or he's just out there fucking around. But
I mean, probably the latter. He was probably out there.
But
just
even
fucking
like
around.
calling the cadence, like knowing where guys are lining up, like, is he just?
That's a great point, because your lack of commitment there, then
You still have to ID a mic. You have to call the protection.
and then it fucks everybody else up.
Yeah.
So then it's on you. That's the selfish part of like not doing it.
And was there so much of an investment made in a first round pick that they were willing to just put him on the field? And you're like,
I mean,
because in college you can get away with it. Like college systems, like some of these spread like is like a 1-word play, you know? So it's like, all right, you know, spread Buccaneer, and everyone kind of knows what you're doing. If you're a quarterback, there's a lot of systems you don't even have to touch the protection.
And is that why so many guys struggle when they come out?
I think partly, but there's also a ton of dudes. I don't like that whole air raid idea where you can't be successful coming out of that. I think that's been dispelled, because like Pat came out of that with Kingsbury and he's best in the league right now. Or if you're running like a spread no huddle like Art Briles system.
But there's some guys like I kind of feel bad for.
It's more about the guy than the system, I think.
Yeah, but then they'll draft a guy, and then they'll put him in a system that's like this. Like, what do you want him to do? It's like you're putting a square in a circle.
Yeah, it'd be like having Lamar playing a really traditional pro style system. That doesn't make. Yeah, you want to have some creativity. You want.
I even saw this with like Zach Wilson last year. Like he's a guy that I definitely was very disappointed in, but I still think he has. I mean, he's fucking 21, dude, or maybe he's 22 now. He's so young, and he also.
Yeah, I hate the Zach Wilson.
But that's
slander, dude.
But that's how that's how the media works. It's just like that's how it goes. But I think he's a guy he was in a really tough spot. His offensive line last year was so depleted. Like the Jets' injuries last year were like, especially on the offensive line. They even had guys who were like 4th-round draft picks out of Louisiana Lafayette, or their fans will make sure you say University of Louisiana. But he was 4th-round draft pick, and he was a backup, came in. He was playing really well. He even got hurt. They were on like 3rd-string guys. And
you're talking about the O-line?
Yeah. And then Zach was up against it. He also, it's tough. And then I think the offense was not ran particularly well through him. But then again, it's like he has to take some accountability too. And I think he has. He's fine. He's like, I don't
know about the accountability aspect.
Oh, you know.
Remember the press conferences when
he was just that was tough.
I think that's the worst of it. I think if you play bad, you're a young guy. Yeah, you're gonna get hate, but you can't say some of those things that you were saying. Like you have to take accountability. But I'm still like a fan. Like I think he could spin the shit out of the ball,
which is like crazy. He can really spin it.
I think you get in the right system, especially like learning under Aaron for like 2-3 years. Like I would not be surprised if like in a similar Geno Smith type situation, like he can be a good player down the road.
Yeah.
He's so young. I just don't like the same thing in basketball. Like you get drafted, you got 18, 19, and like you immediately have to produce. Like that doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah.
It's even harder.
Basketball's tough because like basketball's the age is so important. I think football as a quarterback, like you can really have a renaissance at 28. You could still have a 10-year huge career. Yeah. Basketball, I mean, that's a young man's game. And then there's a reason why these kids that are like, they get drafted 8th, and you're like, he was on Kentucky. I like watched 10 games. I don't remember him. Yeah. Well, he's 18. His wingspan is 7'8". Yeah, it's like they're gonna take the chance on him, and it's like, yeah, he's gonna stink for a little bit, but I think basketball is so much more in potential. Football is really tough because it's like you got to go right. Like look at Anthony Richardson; he's playing week 1. Like it's like you have to figure it out right now, and that's a lot of stress. I'm sure for these guys, like they may not even realize it because these guys have been like almost gallivanting through life because they're top tier. But once you get to that top level, man, like, I can't even like. I'm sure Anthony Richardson's going to handle it great. I'm a big fan of his. Talk about a guy who can spin it. But the stress there and but I mean, the only thing is, if you handle the stress of being a top tier high school prospect, then you handle the stress of winning the job as a starting quarterback, then you handle the stress of being SEC quarterback, you're probably like, the next step is NFL quarterback. So it's not like you're going from 0 to 100. Yeah. But the NFL is just so, I can only imagine the speed difference. It's like
it's not speed necessarily. Okay. I mean, speed's a part of it for sure. It wouldn't even be the first thing I would say though. It's the mental component. Like you're literally just playing chess, but like you're going from like an amateur level to like a grandmaster level.
Got it.
And like there's these pieces that you're moving around, and it's like a little bit of game theory too, because then like you're also trying to figure out what's in the mind of the DC.
Yep.
And so it's like you're playing these like psychological games, and it's happening in real time. And you're tired, and you're getting hit.
And you're getting tired,
And there's a physical component of it, and you still got to keep composure and figure out like what's going on.
And maybe and also it's something that.
Like, so it's like, bro, the checklist pre-snap, I don't think guys understand. There's like 20 different things you need to consider before the snap even starts.
So it's so crazy to think of everything that's going on that has to go through a quarterback's mind. And I'm not even talking, I'm talking just from when the ball snaps. And having 3 seconds or 4 is like really good time. But think about it. 4 seconds just happened. Like, it's just like, but that you had to make it, you had to look at everything you had. And also you're going up against, I mean, literal freak athletes that can jump 8,000 feet in the air and you have to throw the ball. It's like quarterback, I think, I mean, there's a lot of tough roles in the world, but I think the mental acuity that needs to happen for a quarterback is like, I can't really even think of another thing to compare it to. It's like maybe there's some like high level like Navy SEALs, like war, like top, you have to think about a billion things and it's like life or death, so it's a little bit different. But like, I mean, also in football,
and the time constraints too, because it's like, all right, now you have 10 seconds pre-snap to do it.
Yeah, and it's like insane. And then you have to do it again. Like, there's no like, oh, okay, I did it 5 times, it's over.
Yeah.
Like even fighting, like MMA or boxing, that's really tough. You have to consider a lot of things. There's a lot of like mental game. There's a lot of like that game theory of like feints, whatnot. But 5 minutes, rest, 5 minutes rest. Like maybe for a championship, it's 25, but like even there, like it's over. And then you don't do it again for 6 months.
That's true.
Which is, that's not downplaying it, but there's also a level of like, in fighting that's like almost, I would say, just pure, like not masculinity, but just like fighting.
The
like
primitive.
Like primitive that almost takes over.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure in games you've played in that are like, having the primitive, sure, when you're scrambling and you run over a dude, like that's great, but like you have to be like calm. Like you have to, because like your brain, like, I mean, I think we know that through studies and whatnot. Like, I mean, I think Brady had somebody bring in for him when he was late in his Patriots career, like how to breathe properly to bring your heart rate down. So when you're in the game, you are at a rate that it's like, okay, your brain can think. It's not like
that's a big yoga thing. A lot of guys are doing hot yoga. Yes. Russell Wilson was one of the first guys. Like Pete Carroll brought it to Seattle.
So maybe like I wouldn't be surprised if Brady got that from like Pete or Russell or whatnot. But they like, I think it was. I remember I read an article before the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl, and his big focus was. Throughout that whole year was, okay, like when I'm on the sideline, bringing the heart rate down to a point where it's like resting. And obviously you're in the midst of it. So it's like impossible. There's too many things. There's things going on. You're talking to people, but to bring it down and to relax in the midst of like gunfire is like insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that the flying bullets analogy. Like that's real, bro.
Yes,
like, you can do all the preparation, but like when shit's actually happening, it's like you really do kind of forget. And that's the hard part, like is staying calm and remembering what's going on. But yeah, no, it's nuts, bro. It's nuts.
No, but that's why the quarterback, like, I mean, I played football in high school. I was a JV MVP.
What'd you play?
Football in Connecticut. A quarterback. I was quarterback.
Okay, all right, let's go.
But then,
So you know what you're talking about.
so I was a JV MVP, and then a kid transferred in that was better than me. He's like my best friend to this day, Dante Chiaffi. He ended up playing like D3 football. But he, Dante was great. He was just bigger, faster, stronger than me.
Yeah.
So I just ended up, I played more baseball and basketball, but I loved like the aspect of playing quarterback, even though it's like so low level and whatnot. It was fun, and it gives you a level of respect for the position that it's like, I can't even imagine. I think about it sometimes when I just like, even when Zach's having an awful game, right? I remember the Patriots game. There's a part of me, and here's the thing that I struggle with too sometimes when I'm on TikTok. It's like, what gets the best reaction? It's me saying ridiculous things, but it's like, Zach did say after that game he was still like a cocky son of a bitch, which is like, you know what, like,
you can't say
dude,
that.
like he could do whatever. Like, the only thing I'm sure the locker room did not like that. I'm sure the guys who've been in the league for 12 years are like, who the fuck is this guy? We just played in like 20-degree weather and he couldn't complete a fucking screen pass. Like, get the fuck out. And he's already looks like the cocky Mormon, like
it's a bad look.
Yeah, it's
bro,
a bad look. And I'm sure like, you know that like, dealing with the locker room is probably one of the most important parts of a quarterback. Like, it's just like, just so like everyone knows, all right, you're cool. Like,
that's why I love what Aaron's doing now. Like, he's really focused on getting to know everyone. You saw the Hard Knocks thing where he's like, he's getting lunch or dinner or whatever with everyone on the team, different tables. Because I mean, like, cliques exist everywhere in life. Like, that's human nature.
100%.
But if you play quarterback, like, you can't. And I've seen it with guys I've played with in the past who stay with a certain group of people, and then like, say like it's your boy, like a group of friends that's like 5 guys. And then, but you're not interacting with like your lineman or something. And then like guys start talking. It's like, yo, like what's up with my guy? Like he's supposed to lead us, but like he's never hanging out with us or anything like that. So it's like,
and it's like, I mean, like even
you gotta get away from that like kind of clique if you want to be a leader. I'm saying
100%.
Now if you're like a backup receiver, then like it's
that's
a different deal.
Yeah, different. But a quarterback, I mean,
if your intention is to lead the team, then like you need to be friends with everybody.
There's definitely, I could probably guess on those high level teams. I mean, even low level, like when the quarterback is loved, not even loved, or just like respected enough, I'm sure the team just plays better, because when he makes mistakes, it's not like, okay, it's like, all right, he messed up. We know he works hard. We mess up all the time. We have to go back on defense. It's whatever that happens. But when the guy's a fucking dickhead and he's throwing interceptions, it's like, it's obviously, I mean, you're fighting for your job. Like there's a billion things why you're supposed to play hard, but
it's different.
It's different. It's like, you want
to play for someone you like.
Yeah. And the quarterback position is everything.
Well, that's anywhere too. Like even Barstool with like Dave or something like that. Like if you actually like the dude, you're gonna like work harder. You're gonna like make it happen. You know, versus like if it's that lady that was your boss that went up to you, be like, bro, screw this shit. Like, this lady sucks.
When she was leaving, like her assistant was coming around and was like, here, we're just doing a goodbye card for this person. And she was like, here, sign it. I was like, no, I'm not fucking signing that. Like, no, I'd rather no.
Right, exactly.
Like, I'll take it in the fucking bathroom with me. Like, no. Yeah. That's the only time, like, I only have like 1 or 2 grudges in life. That's one of them. Like, even the thing with it is like, if Dave says something or like a Big Cat says something, like those are guys that built the company. It's like, what are you supposed to fucking say to that? And he made a business decision. Like, it was like he had to make it, and I get it. But like not taking, like, that's why I'll always try to remind myself of that. If I ever have to do something like that, give the person the time of day. Like, be like, sit them down and be like, hey, this didn't work out. I'm really sorry about this. We know this sucks, but you just gotta like, you'll
just
have to.
Basic. It's not even like a crazy thing to do.
And she did it in front of people. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was 22 too. I mean, I'm not saying like you're supposed to like treat me with like, or coddle me, but like, I'm not a 35-year-old veteran of the game. It's like, take me, like, can we at least, like, there was no human decency there. And I was always nice to that person too before that. Like, I remember when she started, I was the first person that introduced myself to her. But I mean, it's like one of those things that it's just like, you never know why someone doesn't dislike you. You can't get bogged down too much in that.
Screw this lady.
Yeah. She's somewhere else now. Like, hopefully.
In sports still or what?
I don't want to give out way too much.
It's fine. All right, let's talk college football. since you've got your show, Unnecessary Roughness.
Yeah, check that out. We'll do 3 episodes a week during the season. So
Dude, it's good stuff too. I like it.
Casey Brandon, Katie's on it too. It's great. We'll be doing it all season. Obviously, we're in previews right now. We just did Big 12 preview yesterday.
I saw a little bit of that one.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like me coming from the Pac-12, I've got my opinions, but I want to hear what you think. Everything going on there. What happens to those last few teams?
I mean, it's just like I have no idea. It's really tough because I think there's going to be, like I mentioned, that UConn was left at the altar when the Big East kind of fell and ACC and then whatnot. Like I think that's going to happen to Washington State, Oregon State. Cal and Stanford have so much money that I don't think they'll be hurt too much. They'll be interesting because they're such a Olympic-heavy sports schools.
They have a lot to offer outside of football.
But they get all their money from football. So when those kids that with our smart, like, oh, we spend this much on football, like, why aren't we spending it on like rowing? It's like,
it funds everything.
Yeah, hey, you fucking idiot. The reason the Pac-12's been paying you for the past 2 decades is because you have a football team.
Literally.
So, but it will be interesting to see what happens there. Like what will happen with Cal and Stanford? I think they'll be fine. Oregon State and Washington State, I think, are in like a really, really, really tough spot, which stinks. But like that's.
What do you think about? Because I don't see a scenario where like the Pac can exist by adding teams that currently aren't Power 5. Because I mean, what then you're adding San Diego State, like Air Force, like it's already going from
it's the Mountain West.
Yeah, exactly. Like you
it's
can't
Mountain
really
West with Oregon State, Washington State, and. I mean, for those guys, like I would just like suggest like staying alive, and then hopefully the Big 12 comes around at one point.
Yeah.
Or hopefully like somebody comes at some point, puts their fist down. It's like, we need to redo all of this.
Which I would be a proponent of as well.
And I think there's a really high, like I really love the idea of like a relegation system, which is like.
Oh, like the soccer deal?
Yeah, where you have like 50 teams at the top, and they're all kind of like, or you just do it by like West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, South. And then there's 4 divisions in each, and then
like 16 teams kind of each, like 64
and then
team
it's
bracket.
like at the end of the year, it's like, yeah, you may not be at like next year if you don't win this game, you're not in the Power 5 anymore, which would be sick.
That'd be wild.
Like imagine if like North
That's great for viewership.
Yeah, like what if like North Dakota State or like even there's some schools out there, like I'm not saying go as deep as D3, but there's some schools that will sign up. Like, I mean, I think about in Connecticut, it's like, what if Central Connecticut State like goes on a run and like, so like CCSU's like this, it's funny. This guy's laughing over here because like oh, that's hilarious. Like, it's like just, it's a small school in Connecticut that it's a state university. The football team's actually like not that bad.
Yeah.
I would say like they like middle of the pack FCS, but like the thought of a team like that making a run is like insane.
No, it's great for the drama, but so you're saying Florida next year, who like based on the schedule probably isn't gonna have a great year. Say they win like 3 games or something catastrophic.
Fucked.
You're saying go down to D2 or
no,
FCS?
it's like no. So the next level is
like what if you're a big program like that but just has 1 bad year?
Well, so that's the thing. Like
kick rocks.
Like if Manchester United doesn't play well this year, they're like in the championship.
Okay.
But the only thing is, it's like the schools like Florida aren't going to sign up for that because they're like, no, we're made. Like you don't get to fucking like do this.
Yeah.
The only thing is like if they like, that's the thing. That's the issue. The thing about that is like a bunch of teams could die. Like, but I'm saying there's like 50 teams, and then the next level would be like Florida would be replaced by Louisiana Lafayette if they go 10-2 this year. Or UTSA is really good, but they're D2 right now. And like they're not actually, but I'm saying from in this relegation system.
Yeah, well, you'd have to factor in strength of schedule too, though.
I know that's another thing.
That's a big one.
Because in the Premier League, every team plays every team twice.
Yeah.
Home and away.
So it's standardized.
Yep, standardized.
Yeah.
So I don't think
it's
it
a
would
little
ever
tricky. Yeah.
So, but then maybe we can just go back to like North, South, West, Midwest, and then just like bring it back to regional. Like I get why it's not, and it's all about money, and I get it. It's like you got to get your bag, like as a school and whatnot. Like I don't blame USC for going to the Big Ten. They saw the writing on the wall. Like they were like, we have to make a move, and they were like, how do we make sure? Like the decision makers' jobs are, how do we make sure this university and program is just as good or doing just as well in 10 years? Like, what can we do right now?
Yeah.
That's obviously when
It's
on the
your job.
Yeah.
You're running a business, running a school. Like, what can I do? Like, screw everyone else. Like, you're
Yeah.
not worried about what Oregon State's doing.
But I wish, like, almost the only thing is, it's like, can we just like keep the Pac-12 for the other sports? Like now it's like
For what?
Like softball has to go fucking play like Rutgers or something. Like that's the tough thing.
Yeah, but then again, like they exist because of the football program too, though.
Well, so that's another thing. I saw like these softball players on Oregon complaining about being in the Big Ten.
Really?
I was like,
Because of the traveling or what?
Yes, they were
I
like,
don't like
kids.
the whole traveling argument, bro. It's like, what, you're adding an extra hour or two?
And then they were saying
Is
they
that
were
that
like
big of a deal?
they were like mental health. It's like have the athletes' mental health get. I was like, here's the thing, and I don't mean this in a mean way at all. Oregon softball, you have a great program and whatnot. You do not matter. Like you don't matter. Like it's irrelevant. Like you don't matter. Like and I mean that, and I understand it that like this could be seen as a bad thing. You probably worked so hard your whole life, and whatnot to do this. But here's the thing, and this is the harsh reality of the world.
Yeah.
That when Oregon's decision makers are sitting down and thinking about making money in the next 10 to 20 years, they aren't thinking about you. They are not. They haven't thought about you. They don't care. And that's the thing. A narp like myself has realized that since day one. Like my opinion doesn't matter. I have to make my opinion matter. And guess what? Your opinion doesn't matter as an Oregon softball player. Well, okay. If you don't like it, go play it fucking, I don't know, San Diego. Like you'll play like Santa Barbara. Like, okay, like leave then.
But also, like, in theory, should you have a say if you're only funded because of the football program?
Well, no, it's like it doesn't matter. But I mean, like, there's Title IX and whatnot. It's like everything's like all connected. And Oregon actually, like, they're under some heat right now because they pretty much like have created like a fake beach volleyball program to like make sure the football team can have more players on their roster. So there's like 30 girls on the team. They make them play in like a public park and like are surrounded by homeless people, but they're scholarship athletes.
But
so the football team, but then the football team obviously can get, it helps with the Title IX numbers, which I think that's not something you should do. But I mean, Title IX is a completely different argument. You have to get so deep into it. But the only thing is like, softball, it's like, then they'll bring up like, oh, we're on ESPN. Like, if the softball team, if Oregon didn't have a softball team, they're going to be paid the same amount of money by the Big Ten. There's no difference.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the Title IX regulators are coming, but like, there's no difference. Football and basketball, and it's still football 95%, basketball 4%, and then some like 1% other sports, including baseball. But like for baseball only matters in 20 schools?
Yeah, I don't really follow baseball as much. I know Vandy's got a squad.
Like Vandy's, that's one that like it matters.
Some of those SEC, like Florida,
like Arkansas,
Tennessee,
Arkansas like has a very big fan base for baseball. Mississippi State.
I'd be curious to see what their numbers are. Like if they're like, how many D1 baseball programs are making money versus losing money?
So that's another very interesting thing. This is something that I'm not smart enough to discuss, but I do know the finances of college sports are a lot different than what numbers show up on like the public tax returns, because it says, oh, this football program's losing like $15 million. Like, but that's not how it works, because like the economics of it are so hard to put into to factor in. If you didn't have the football program, would you be invited into another conference? You never know. Also, what's the value of being on ESPN from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon?
From like a marketing standpoint for the university?
For the school.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's insane. Like USC from like last year's success or whatever. You see the admissions numbers? It's up like some stupid like 50% or something. Some insane amount.
So from that perspective,
and donations and all that.
So then like people are like, well, look at this. This football program's bleeding money. Like, no, but it's not. So the baseball program's like it's like, oh, Texas only made $3 million last year. Well, they also spent $110 million. But then also on top of it, they played on Fox for how long or how much would you have to pay for a midday Saturday afternoon Fox infomercial for 3 hours? And then after that, you're on every highlight show for the rest of the day. It's like you
and talk shows. Everyone's talking about you during the week.
Put value on that.
Yeah.
That's why like even UConn, look at UConn. The basketball program's won 5 national championships in men's basketball, 11 with in the women's. Everyone's like, oh, why don't they just give up on football? Football's your ticket to everything. Like, do you think the Big 12's calling them if they're just a basketball program? No, probably not. Like, dude, like if the ACC kind of falls apart and has to start something else new, you think the ACC calls just for basketball? Like, that doesn't exist. Yeah. There's a reason they're keeping the football program alive. And there's a reason every university with like some balls wants football. That's the moneymaker. Yeah. It'd be almost like, I don't even know how to, like, what to compare it to. There's nothing you can compare it to. Football's everything. Like, in every university who's smart knows that. Obviously, there's the Yales and Harvards that are they're made. Like, they're Ivy Leagues.
Yeah.
But, like, Stanford won't give up on football.
No.
Like, Cal won't give up on football. That's a top 10, top 15 school in America.
Yeah.
Like, they will not give up on football because football's everything. Basketball's cool too, but it's really not.
Yeah, it's
like,
not the same.
Basketball's like a 2-week-a-year thing.
Yeah. And
you have to make the tournament if you want to get involved.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, still, like, having a good basketball program is important, but like like Alabama, it's like the reason Alabama has a good basketball program now is because they hired a good coach. But I mean, like the football program, like it like everything trickles down.
Yeah, I also saw something where like college football is the second most popular sport. It goes NFL, college football, then NBA. Like a random Saturday SEC like 4 p.m. slot is more than an NBA Finals game.
Oh yeah, I mean the like Bama Tennessee game last year, I think that definitely 100% more than every playoff game outside of the finals for the NBA.
Yeah,
the finals probably, but that's like 7 games
mid-season,
and also NBA finals is when there's no other games on. Right. When Alabama and Tennessee are playing, like there's a chance a guy who would watch that is watching like his alma mater, like maybe Wisconsin's playing Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like that's 2 million people.
There's a ton of other games going on, yeah.
And then people always say like, oh, college bowl games, like there's too many. Like guys, more people watch that than like a lot of like
and almost anything else.
TNT Thursday night. Like there's more people watching the Montgomery Camellia Bowl than fucking that.
For sure.
And it's on football at 2:30 in the middle of on a Tuesday. Like people are like, oh, there's too many like college football bowl. Like no, guys, there isn't. There's a reason they keep making more because it makes money.
Yeah.
And ESPN wants more because they're like midday Detroit like Motor City Bowl. 2:30 people, like most people are out of their job. It still gets 1.5 million viewers.
Yeah.
Like First Take gets 300K.
That's insane.
Like, I mean, there's like levels to it. Like that why is America so obsessed with football? Who knows? But it is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the money thing, this is what I was thinking the other day with like Saudi Arabia trying to like buy all these other sports.
That would be sick if they bought college football.
Bro, well, football in general, like why? Okay, like the way these contracts are set up, like Jonathan Taylor, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like he wants a new contract. He thinks he's the best. He thinks he's the best running back in the league. Like even if he does get what he wants, like it's not gonna be guaranteed contract. Like he can get hurt and he's not gonna get like a large portion of that. What's stopping Saudi Arabia from going like, hey, we'll triple that. Come play in this league. Like, what percentage of guys are just gonna take like just by tripling what you're getting and fully guaranteeing everything? Could you just literally create like another football league that's way better?
The only thing is, so much of football and whatnot, but you could say that same about soccer. Is like the experience, like with fans, but they don't even care. Like Saudi doesn't care. They're like,
isn't it just all money?
Yeah. I don't.
Like,
they're
dude,
not interested
I don't think
in
dudes
football.
care. Like a player. Like I'm trying to maximize my career. Like I'm 23. I play running back. I've got like 4 years left. Like I can tear my knee tomorrow.
No, 100%. I wouldn't blame Jonathan. But it's like, why would Saudi do that? But then again, like they
well, because of the numbers, like you're saying, the viewership.
But will people watch it in Saudi?
I guess that's the big question.
Because
if you have all the best players, though, would you?
People don't really watch the XFL and USFL.
They don't have the best players.
Yeah, but you need so many.
You have
players.
Aaron Rodgers and Jonathan Taylor on the same team. I'm watching.
But, like,
are you watching?
I don't know. We'll see. I would probably, but like, would I watch week 6?
Because who are the other players? Aaron wherever Aaron's at.
How about the other players? Like what?
Triple everyone's salary. Everybody. They could afford it. They could afford it probably just based off of Neymar's and freaking
Mbappe. Or no, they brought in Ronaldo.
Ronaldo and what they offered Mbappe. That's the entire league probably. You
are right. Why hasn't Saudi? They must. Maybe they like
But
don't like
it's
football.
because the way those contracts are set up where they're not guaranteed.
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah.
like because that's why a guy like Messi could turn it down. He's already got the money, and what he's getting is guaranteed. But with football, it's just prime for the taking.
No, 100%.
And it's the most popular sport and like one of the biggest, most powerful countries on the
Saudi
planet.
should like make they should like
I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna run their league. I'm gonna be the commissioner of the Saudi league.
Saudi should like take over college football and make it the Saudi Power League.
Or
and
college, they could do anything.
Well, Florida State's trying to leave the ACC right now, right? They said they were, but they don't have the money. Why doesn't Saudi just come in? Oh, we'll pay for that.
And just buy their football program?
No, I'm just saying, like, why not? We'll fund it.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's a state school, Florida, politics, whatnot. Probably when you would get into that.
College gets messy, yeah, because there's a whole university system.
And the politics and whatnot. But like, why doesn't Saudi just say, no, we'll fund that?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just put like our flag on your helmet. Imagine the Seminole with the Saudi flag with the sword on it. That'd be sick as fuck.
It would be kind of hype.
I would be like all over that.
I'm
Saudi.
watching.
Yeah, Saudi. No, but it's still in America. It's just like we want to.
They don't have to do it in their country. It could be in the U.S., but they own the league and they're making all the money off of it. Or you could even pluck guys right out of high school. So it's like, okay, instead of like a $3 million NIL deal, which is a shit ton of money, to go to A&M or something, give you 20. You're the number one running back in the country. 20.
And
who's saying no?
You play with Aaron Rodgers, or
Who says
you have
no?
a development league?
Yeah, it's a development league that transitions into it being the best league because you've got all the best players out of high school.
I mean, there's like
You're turning down 20 at 17?
No, you would never.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, even if you dreamed all your life of playing at Alabama, it doesn't matter. You wouldn't turn that down.
No.
That's like stupid money. Your life's set, even if like you tear your ACL.
So it's all money. Yeah, it's interesting. It will probably get there.
A Saudi league football, like they haven't shown any interest in American football.
I'm just really curious.
It'll be interesting to see if they ever do.
I would love to talk to whoever's like behind this whole sports thing. Like, I don't know.
You want to talk to Mohammed bin Salim?
Bro, if it's like
you want to talk to MBS, you mean like the most? Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
A lot of people want to talk to him.
I don't know if it's him.
It
like
is
behind
him.
it. It's only him.
Well. So,
or does he have like a sports like kind of association that's like, hey, we're gonna do this?
So Saudi right now is their big initiative is
promoting the country.
Yes, and promoting the country in a way that is not just, they want to not be just dependent on oil money. They could depend on oil money for the rest of their lives, but they want to like diversify their portfolio. Sports is one of the biggest things that they've focused on, obviously. And so that's the big, and then this started with WWE going to Saudi Arabia like 6 years ago. And they would have this massive, like they would bring Undertaker back. They'd bring all the guys when we were kids back. They would go, they would have this match. Everyone in America hated it, but like everyone in Saudi loved it.
And it was pretty successful.
They still go all the time. Like the women aren't allowed to wrestle in it. It's pretty funny, but they're like, no, that's haram. Like Becky Lynch can't come. But WWE gets paid so much money for that. They make more off of that than like everything else combined. And it's 1 show a year, 2 shows a year. Or maybe it was 3 shows a year. Then they were like, okay, let's go live golf. And then also they've done a lot with soccer now. Yeah. But this has been MBS's, I'm pretty sure is his name, entire plan. But now, I mean, getting into the politics of Saudi Arabia is a lot different because he's also accused of killing a journalist and whatnot, a Washington Post journalist. But I mean, all I know is for sure that's a plan that they've decided to help diversify their country.
Yeah.
And definitely tourism and whatnot. Like they could be behind those brand trips to like Dubai and whatnot. Well, Dubai's like in UAE. But
did you see the new Neymar contract where he gets $500K for every post that supports the country?
That's crazy.
For one post. And so it's 500,000 euros. So then I was just going through the comments on there and it was like, what if he just automatically just like does that like a few times a day? Like, is there like a limit on that?
Yeah, like what's supporting? Like if he just like, it's
like 10 a day.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Like, this is the best country ever.
Yeah, like, yeah, what? I wonder if there's a limit. No,
Right.
they're just like, no, we'd rather you just support.
I mean, it was like a Bleacher Report thing.
Yeah,
so-
no. I totally believe that.
Yeah, so
Like, that's
funny.
definitely real.
Hilarious, bro.
They're so obsessed with it. I mean,
insane,
they have the
dude.
money.
Yeah.
They're essentially a venture capitalist firm that's like, we have unlimited money. We're going to use it and take
so
a
much
chance.
fun, dude.
Well, then you get
What would you
into-
do with that much?
with that much money? Would I take it from Saudi Arabia? I mean, that's the question. Probably. I mean, I think I would enjoy Saudi. But what would I do with that much money? Probably like buy my parents a house. Buy my sister like a house. Like any apartment she wants.
Yeah.
Then
Like
like
Mbappe turning down 1 billion is beyond me.
but he's gonna make close. He doesn't want to go
But
there.
1 year though.
I
You don't have
know.
to be there for a long time. You play a season. You never have to go there
Well,
again.
he turned
If you
down
don't like-
500 million. Or like 700.
Yeah, it was somewhere up there. But for 1 season. But yeah, it's crazy.
But when you have that much money, it's like, what's an extra billion?
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that's the question. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, I know you got to get out of here. I want to end with one thing. College football playoff predictions.
Damn. I have not made my official, but let me just give you right now. Okay, Georgia. Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. They're making it. They're gonna beat Bama week 2.
Big Quinn Ewers.
Yeah,
guy.
like I'm all in.
Okay.
Their wide receivers are nasty. They lost Bijan, but I think their running backs will be fine. Jonathan Brooks is their running back; he'll be fine. Xavier Worthy. They brought in Adonai Mitchell. He was the guy who caught the long pass from Stetson Bennett when or maybe he caught another one. But he played in Georgia last year and the year before. And then they also have this transfer from Wyoming who was supposed to play last year, Isaiah Nayer, who's like their third best wide receiver. And he was supposed to be sick last year, got injured, but he's healthy this year. I believe in Sark. Their defense is a big question mark.
So UT's back basically.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, if they make the
if you're in
playoffs,
you're
yeah.
back. Yeah. All right, Georgia, UT.
Ohio State's going to make it. I think they're just too talented. And then 4, I think, like I really think USC is going to find a way in.
Yeah.
Because
I think so, too.
I really do think they have, like Caleb's just so good. And then I think the defense will take a step forward. And I think, I mean, losing J.A. is a big for them on offense, but also he got injured at the end of like Mario Williams is still there. I think wide receiver, like they're just like still loaded. And
That's
then
one of the most insane receiver rooms I've ever seen.
they're just, and here's the thing, like
But they've retooled
Caleb and this is year 3 with Lincoln for him.
With Link. Yeah, it's gonna be
Like
That's
he's gonna be, like I really hope he doesn't get injured. He's electric to watch. I think the offense is amazing. The defense really needs to take that step forward. But like, even looking at their schedule, like I really think
it's not
like
an easy schedule.
It's not easy because you got to play Notre Dame, and then you got to play the Pac-12.
Utah, UCLA is still a
Oregon
rivalry
State's
game.
no joke this year either.
Yeah, Pac's really good this year.
Yeah, UCLA's being slept on. I know they lost DTR, but I mean, like even if this
still
freshman
a talented
Dante Moore,
roster.
like really, it's tough to come in year 1. But they also brought in a guy from Kent State, Colin Schlee.
No, I don't think. I think it's gonna be Garber's Ethan.
Oh yeah, Garbers is still there. You're right,
Yeah.
and he's been there for a minute. And
It's a good quarterback room. Though.
And he came in when like DTR sometimes, like DTR had his own issues because he had some turnover issues. But I actually like him.
Dude,
I was
Dorian's
like,
going crazy right now.
Yeah. I really like him. I've been a long time DTR supporter. That's like even when it's going bad, I'm like, no, we have to believe in him. I also love him. He seems like a cool dude.
Dorian's cool. I did my Raiders workout with him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
He seems like an awesome fucking guy.
Yeah.
But Garbers has come in, and when like DTR maybe he's not playing well or got hurt or like maybe banged up a little bit, and he's always impressed. I think he was a highly rated recruit too.
He transferred. I think he was somewhere. I think he was at Washington.
He's at Cal, right?
No, his brother was Chase.
Got it.
Yeah. No, but I mean, the defense obviously is the big question with SC, and I mean, based off of what they've done in the transfer portal, it's an entirely new front 7. And that was a big issue. Like Tulane game, Tajay ran for like 250 on us.
I mean, Tajay was crazy that game.
He's a monster. He's a good player, but I mean, again, it was a big issue. It's still Tulane, right?
Oh no, 100%. That shouldn't have happened. Like Tajay should have
like
run
we
for
weren't
like
a
100.
we weren't a playoff team last year. Like we didn't deserve it
No.
based off of obviously Tulane and Utah game. But like that was the big. I mean, Link's smart, so it's like that was the big hole to fix. He fixed it. He brought in who we needed to fix. So
So that's the big question. Like that playoff 4 could really blow up because I mean,
I just don't like
Think
the
about that.
Ohio State pick.
well, so here's the thing with Ohio State, right? It's like who's going to be the quarterback?
That's the big one.
It's like
I don't
so
know.
McCord was Marvin Harrison's
high school
quarterback in Philly at St. Joe's Prep. And then, I mean, they love this Devin Brown, right? That's his name? Or
Yeah.
Spencer Brown?
No, yeah, Devin was committed to SC.
Yeah, Devin, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
He was-
also wearing 33, I think, which is
It's
kind of
weird. Yeah, Teddy's wearing 50 with Detroit.
I know.
Weird.
But Devin, they love him. We'll see. I didn't
Yeah.
realize Devin's out of Utah, right?
Yep.
He was committed to USC. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he played at Jackson School. He transferred to Jackson School after he left.
Okay. So you think Jackson's going to win the job at Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think so. Based off
What an
everything
interesting
I've seen.
offseason. You can't blame a coach for loading up any position room, but Spencer
Yeah.
going there is so interesting because there were so many. You can't tell me Spencer couldn't. Let's say Alabama had Spencer in their room right now. I think they would be a better team.
You think he wins that job over Tyler?
No, but I think he's let's say Tyler doesn't work out or gets injured, Spencer's right there, and
Yeah.
And I mean, Alabama's really interesting because it's it doesn't seem like Ty is taking control of that, even though he was a top tier recruit. But some guys they just don't take control. And I've heard rumors about him. He's a freshman. He just didn't. I think he maybe partied a little bit too much. But I think he's been really devoted the past year. And I get it. He comes in. Bryce Young's the quarterback, but you'd rather see a guy come in right away and be no, I'm all in, prepping for when it's my time.
Generally speaking, 98% of the time, I don't think you bring in a grad transfer without the intention of him being
I
the
think
guy.
Tyler's going to play.
Yeah. Will be the starter is what I'm saying.
Oh, 100%. And then Jalen,
one.
I think Jalen just,
Crazy. He's got a little AR in him.
but there's a reason they brought in Tyler.
Yeah.
And I know Tommy was part of it, but
They didn't have full confidence in him.
Tyler's interesting because Tyler, I really want to see how he can play. I think did he win Elite 11? Or maybe he was just
I
on
don't
it.
think so. We could look it up. I don't know.
I'm really interested in him. I mean, that's the biggest question of the season's quarterbacks. Obviously we know
Yeah, a
there's
lot
the
of big
best.
programs filling in holes.
We
Yeah.
have the best quarterback we've had in a while at SC.
Yeah.
But then it's Georgia has a new quarterback. Ohio State has a new quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm really high on Carson. I think
Really?
he's going to be really
I don't know much
good.
about him.
I mean, this
Just
is
based off of what you've heard.
yeah,
Practice
and
stuff,
I've heard, and he's been as devoted as Stetson. People
Really?
even said he spent more time in film room and whatnot than Stetson the past 3
I
years.
think it's also going to be hard to fuck it up, dude.
But
That
that's another
roster's
thing.
insane.
That's another thing. But that's a level of pressure that is very hard to relate to. It's I'm the guy
Yeah.
coming in after the guy, and it's if I can't do it,
Well,
and then also they have Brock, who's
Yeah.
if he doesn't play well, Brock's right there.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where you play well, you're expected to, because it's such a good team. You got the best receivers, you got the best O-line.
Mm-hmm.
You play poorly, obviously, then you're going to get shit on and benched. So it's those are kind of tough
At
situations.
least from what Aaron Murray's been saying and whatnot, and reports out of Georgia, Carson's been ready.
Yeah.
They think he's better. He's the best quarterback they've had since Stafford. Obviously,
Really?
not including Justin. Justin didn't get to that's
Right, yeah.
I mean, for
Excluding
a guy
Justin.
like Kirby Smart, who's saved Georgia, talk about a guy they could have already had another natty.
Yeah.
It would have been so interesting. It almost worked out better because Stetson probably wouldn't have stayed as long as he did, and Justin would have left and then whatnot. But I mean, Justin was there,
Yeah.
and they had Jake was good too. I mean, no disrespect
Jake
to
was
Jake.
really good, dude. We played him that year. I think 18. That was the year that they put Justin in on the fake punt. It was a punt, right? Yeah. So we played him that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jake went off. I mean, we're also Vanderbilt, so that's
But
take it with a
still,
grain
I
of
mean,
salt.
it's high level
Justin
players.
played, I think, the fourth quarter, did his thing.
But he was that's probably the most demoralizing thing. You even saw it for TCU last year in the national championship game. The backups come in and they're just as good.
Oh yeah, going.
It's just and
and Dalvin Cook. It was Justin and Dalvin. in the fourth, and Dalvin's just gashing us, bro. Like
Dalvin? No, you mean his brother.
I meant James.
James,
I
yeah,
meant
yeah.
James. It's definitely not Dalvin.
I was like, damn, what? I was like,
That's a wild-
everyone's calling him like old as fuck on the Jets now, and it's like, wait, like Dalvin? I was like, his brother was good.
He still is.
Yeah. But last year, I think there's a clip of Max after getting sacked in the fourth. It was like 56-7 or whatever. And he gets up and he just like throws the ball to the ref and he like goes to the lineman and he just looks at him. He's like, those are their fucking backups, dude. And like he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like but that's it's so interesting how like it's so like TCU has such high level athletes, but they don't even look comparable.
No.
There's some players
There's
like
levels to it, bro.
Quentin Johnson like could be on Georgia's team. Like I bet you put Max on Georgia's team, he would have been fine. But like there's like the offensive line, like it's like you said, the levels are insane.
Yeah.
And it's
so top heavy at that point. Well, in the trenches, that's the big one. Because skill guys, you can kind of like shuffle them around. Like you said, TCU skill versus Ohio State, Bama skill.
probably not that.
It's around like Quinn Johnson's the first round guy. So it's like that's
Darius Davis is as fast as like, I mean, any human being ever.
Skill's not the issue.
Yeah.
It's hard to find big guys who can move. That's the big one.
And
develop them.
And are big.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's the biggest thing with Texas.
That's the SC thing too.
The trenches, that's my biggest thing with football right now in my mind is thinking about how do you build a program? And I was always like quarterback, wide receiver, whatnot. Building from inside out is almost, it feels as if it's like the way to go. And Bama's been doing that. Like if you look at Bama's class last year, it's the best class ever. It's all offensive linemen, defensive linemen.
Really?
Like obviously they have some wide receivers, running backs, defensive backs, like obviously, but.
Well, I mean, they know that's what's won them national championships.
The trenches are so important, even in the world now where it's like.
It's just scarce. Like it's hard to find. Like I can go to a JUCO and like I played junior college in Kansas. Or I can go to a junior college in LA. And I played with dudes who could easily be in the league right now who are just not doing anything. Like it's easy to find a receiver. Like there's special guys, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
There's the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chase, whatever. But like plug and play guys, that's easy. Like receivers, very easy to find.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like that's a very
But a good left tackle, like anywhere between like 280, like 300 pounds, who could move, smart, can understand your pass pro. Like there's a lot of elements. Like that's rare. That's a rare thing. So, but yeah, I know you got to head out, brother.
Yeah, no, this was awesome.
Thank you, man.
I enjoyed
that was
it. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Follow me on everything. I'm on Twitter, JackMacCFB. That's MAC, not with a K. Same Instagram handle, JackMacCFB, and then on TikTok, JackMac Barstool, I think it is.
Best follow on IG and TikTok.
Yeah.
I got all your news right there.
Yeah, all the news. But I'm excited for football this year. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Where do you think you'll be? You still like waiting?
Still figuring it out.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
just,
I mean,
you're
I know how it works.
You're
it's
on
like,
call, dude.
You're on call.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Because you're on like a billion lists, and it's like, okay, if this guy goes down or leaves,
yeah. And there's so many injuries. Like last week, for example, it was between me and another guy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you after who the team was. And I was like, I had like all my stuff packed. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm gonna be there. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And then I'm like scrolling through Twitter or whatever, and I see like
this team
X signs. I'm like, fuck. All right, well, never mind. So, but I mean, that's good that like we got to that point. And hopefully, there's gonna be other opportunities.
100%. I understand. Like you're just on call. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Like you never know.
Yeah.
So good thing you kept your phone there. Like imagine if you were podcasting with like Jack Mac and you missed a call from like the fucking like Packers or something.
Exactly.
Another Connecticut guy is, you know who Tim Boyle is?
Yeah, the quarterback.
Yeah. Tim Boyle was at UConn. It wasn't his fault, but he went to the same high school as Will. I think he was the quarterback before Will. Then he went to Eastern Kentucky after UConn, but I always cheer him on because it's like he's a Connecticut guy. He was behind Aaron the whole time, and Green Bay. I think then he went to Detroit, but I don't know where he is now. I think he's still in the league. Giants maybe, or maybe I don't know where but he's still in the league. But like I always ride for the Connecticut guys.
Yeah,
you got.
Well, that's what Rob told me. It's such a small circle. Like that Connecticut football.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Did he go? Did he?
No, he's from South Florida.
Yeah, he's from South Florida. That's what I thought. Yeah. So UConn used to recruit really well down there, but the downside was they didn't recruit well in their own state, which is tough.
No.
But I think UConn's going to be good this year. That first game, I'm telling you, Thursday night,
Who are they
first NC State at home at
You're
UConn.
calling it right now? They're
I'm
gonna
not
win?
saying they're going to win it, but like you never know, bro.
They'll cover?
Yes, 100%.
Really?
I'm very excited.
It's probably like what, like a 10-point spread or something?
17, I think.
Oh, Jesus
So
Christ.
quarterback's going to be interesting for. So Zion Turner was the quarterback last year.
Yeah,
He was
went
at
to St. Thomas.
Yeah, St. Thomas. He was
Yeah.
really good in high school.
He was good. Yeah.
I get why he ended up at UConn.
Yeah.
He has some
He's smaller, right?
smaller and
He has some other issues.
just his decision making is. Hopefully that can change. But then, do you remember Taquan Robertson, who was at Penn State? He was a top. He's quarterback competing against him. Then they brought in a guy from Maine who's competing too. We'll see. I hope we'll see who the quarterback is. I'm really excited for UConn. The first game of the year.
What's a good year though? Like,
go to a
what's
bowl
something
game.
that you would 6-6?
7-5 would be an improvement from last year.
Yeah. Oh, because last year was a bowl.
6
yeah,
and 6.
I remember.
6 and 7, but
Yeah.
they lost the bowl game.
Yeah.
They lost to Marshall. It was actually pretty good. It was a close
Dude,
game.
I mean, that jump going from like the worst team in college football to being a bowl game in 2 years is nuts. But
in 1 year,
yeah,
they were the worst team the year
literally
before.
the worst team.
And then they turned out like they beat Fresno State. Jay Kaner wasn't playing, but they beat them. They beat Boston College.
Yeah.
Like they beat. I'm blanking on some other teams, but like they had good wins. It wasn't like they were like beating these no-name.
Well, because you're playing an ACC schedule. Yeah.
But Boston College, yeah, that's always personal. And UMass.
Is that a big rival?
I don't think Boston College considers it, but you want to kill. If we beat
That's a
Boston
one-sided
College,
rivalry.
if we beat Boston College back-to-back years, it's like that would be special.
Yeah.
Because
Riots
I hate
on the
Boston
street
College.
in Hartford, Connecticut.
I hate Boston College. Like they're just like scumbags. They blocked UConn from going to the ACC 3 times.
Really?
They're scumbags and they're nothing. Like we dominate the Northeast. Like what? Like UConn is the Northeast.
In basketball, that's it.
And everything else.
And what else?
Who's like
football?
You've ever met a Boston College fan? No, they're irrelevant. They've won nothing.
I haven't met very many UConn fans though.
Well, you got to get around, bro.
All right. Thank you, brother.
All right, that was fun.
Yeah.